Tom Clark's 6M podcast is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to Tom Clark's 6M podcast. I'm your host, Tom Clark, and in this episode, I'm joined by co-host Phil Lindsey.
How you feel about vampires, kids? How many of you out there are into vampires? We've talked about vampires here. Not a whole lot. Okay, we've done the Blade trilogy. We don't like to talk about those films, at least, the other two. But, we have talked about vampires to some extent here. And it's not really a topic that we've gotten too crazy deep in the weeds over. There are some movies out there I'd like to watch, like John Carpenter's Vampires, the actual film, even though James Woods has turned into a gigantic bag of feminine hygiene product these days. He is. I'm just calling it like I see it. But there's other vampire stuff out there that, I would be open to doing on the show. We're doing one here today. And man, is this a good flick, let me tell you. Today we're doing Sinners. And if you've not seen this one yet, you got the best of both worlds. Because if you're into vampires, you're good. But if you're also into the blues, buddy, are you good? Because they've got it here. And in my opinion, they didn't have enough of it. Because I'm always up for good blues, man. And there's some phenomenal blues in this movie. And it's a vampire flick, as we said. And also happens to have a grade A 5-star cast, including the main guy at the front, who is effing amazing. And it's the truth. Like he's just great. And I can't wait to get into it. There's a lot to talk about because this movie's a hit and for very good reasons. So if you've seen it, you'll enjoy this. If you haven't watched it yet, we're going to ready to spoil the life out of it for you. So fair warning, you have been warned. And here we go. Sinners is a 2025 American Southern Gothic supernatural horror film. I just like saying that. Produced, written, and directed by Ryan Coogler. Set in 1932 in the Mississippi Delta, the film stars Michael B. Jordan in dual roles as criminal twin brothers who return to their hometown to start again when they are confronted by a supernatural evil. Coogler began developing the film through his production company in January 2024 when Jordan was cast. And after a bidding war, Warner Brothers Pictures acquired distribution rights the next month. Additional roles were cast in April, and then everything started rolling from that point on. Again, this movie, as we said, starring Michael B. Jordan, directed and written by Ryan Coogler, and 137 minutes is your runtime. The budget for this film, this is a good one. The budget for this film was $90 million, and the box office so far, $358 million. You could say this movie's made some money. And there, my friends, is your lowdown for Sinners. So, Phil, you saw this movie back when it opened, and I just saw it like yesterday. I love this flick. I know you enjoyed it as well. Tell me about this overall. How did it work for you? Why does it work for you going into this today?
I connected with it on so many different levels. I mean, overall, it's just a great movie. I think it's well worth all of the hype that it's gotten. Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan have just created magic together. I think they're like this generation's Spike and Denzel. They just have that kind of relationship, and the amount of great movies that they have together is just, man, they deserve to be applauded for it. I mean, I think it's something to be said about a director when they find that right leading man that they enjoy working with and they're legitimately friends and there's a great creative process between them. And you can just see it. They're just clicking. And I think this might be possibly the best movie they've made together. Big fan of the other stuff that they've made. Of course, Black Panther. I enjoyed Fruitvale Station. I don't need to see it again. Not that it's a bad movie, but very depressing movie. Very sad movie.
I have not seen Fruitvale Station yet, man.
Yeah. Very sad movie.
Is it really? Yeah, I've not
very,
caught
very
it.
sad. It's good. It's Coogler's first movie, I think. I think it's his first ever
you're
movie.
right.
But yeah, very sad.
We did the Creed movies too, right?
Yes, Coogler also directed the first one, I believe. I don't think he directed the second one.
Mm,
And I know Michael B. Jordan directed the third one.
yeah. Yeah. I've not seen that third one. How is it?
I love it. I think the third one is possibly the best one of the three.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I
Uh,
mean, dude, you mentioned Denzel. I'm about to say something big, and I don't know if Jordan has. I don't want to say use the word earned, but dude, is he filling into that slot where Denzel was like the just that guy that's sort of a renaissance man? Do you know what I mean? That can do a little bit of everything. Like, is you think Jordan's sliding into that role now?
I think that he's filling this void as a versatile black actor that has quite a great resume when you really look at it. The
Mm,
amount of great stuff he's done, and it just the variety of roles he's played so far, and he's been fantastic in all of it. I mean, all the way back to The Wire, which that was ages ago. He's a kid in The Wire. Like when you think about it now, like we've really watched this guy grow up into a man.
yeah, he dude, he's so good in this. I just can't. And here's what I'll tell you, and I don't even think I said this out loud when I watched it, but it occurred to me later. Dude, I kind of forgot in the movie that he was playing both parts. It feels like two separate people in these scenes together, man.
Yeah, he does such a great job playing two distinct characters with different motives, different wants, different emotions. And he plays them so well. But yeah, I connect with this as an ancestor. My ancestors all came from Mississippi. Both my
Mm.
grandparents are from Mississippi. They moved from Mississippi to Chicago. So there's certain things that just connect with me as somebody that's traveled to Mississippi a lot as a kid. I used to go to Mississippi almost every summer. And so, no, it's certain things that just click with just the history of, black people migrating from the South up north for a better way of life. And just the idea of someone migrating to Chicago and then end up going back and being like, yeah, they sell you on that, but as they say in the movie, Chicago's just Mississippi with tall buildings.
Ah, that's a great line.
Um, because I mean, they sell you on better life, but at that time period, especially, racism was everywhere.
Mm. Yeah, and you know what? Not to get too far ahead, I love that that is the vampire's message. Like vampires don't give a crap about color. They don't care about gender. Like, and they're flat out telling them to their face, like that people's already world's already given up on you. You know what I mean? Like Remick says, I am your way out. This world has already left you for dead. Won't let you build, won't let you fellowship. We'll let you do it. And
Hmm.
I'm like, that's not bad. That's not a bad line. You know what I mean? It's terrible because these aren't people anymore. They're things at this point. But man, that's not a bad line.
To me, there is nothing better in a movie than evil that can appeal to somebody's baser instinct of wanting to belong. Because
Yeah.
everybody wants to belong in some way. It's why I think Kylo is so great in Last Jedi when he gives her the whole monologue of "You're nobody. You came from nothing. Nobody cares about you, but I do."
Yeah.
Because it hits, and just this
It
idea
does.
of him looking around like, "Look, man, you guys are black people in the South. There's no win for you. There's no out for you,
Yeah.
except with me."
Yeah. And it's man, again, pure evil, these things, whatever that word means, but like pure evil, flat out killers. But man, it's yeah. Again, it's I don't want to use the word tempting, but like you said, it's a hook. It's a way to get into people's heads and have them believe, well, maybe this is a way. But they don't also tell you, by the way, you're gonna have to, you know, feed for the rest of your lives and you can never go out during the day. And
Yeah.
The one character that was watching the door, which we'll get into it, his face is all jacked up and remains jacked up for the rest of the film. Like, do you not heal? Do they not heal? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Crazy. Are you into vampire movies, by the way, Phil, real quick? Do you like this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was such a different approach to horror that
Mm,
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not really a scary movie
no.
because they spend so much of the first hour or so doing the world building, and that first hour is just so engrossing because they really get you to like these characters before you get into the main conflict.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. Again, I can't say enough good things about Jordan in this movie. I think he's fantastic. And I would love to see this movie get nominated for something because I think it's definitely earned it. So Jordan plays two different characters, two brothers, the Smokestack brothers, Elijah Smokemore and Elias Stackmore. So I'm gonna guess without looking that Smokestack is reference to the John Lee Hooker song "Smokestack Lightning." I'm guessing.
Maybe.
Is that Hooker? Yeah, I think it's Hooker. So I assume that's what it is, dude. His voice is fantastic. Like it just you can tell there's years on it and there's wisdom on it. It's hard to put into words, but there's just his choice of the way he talks is fantastic. Like it's just he just reeks of being cool. Do you know what I mean? It's got a swagger. Like both these characters have a swagger to them for sure.
Yeah. I love just like it kind of reminds me of just how great Django is because once Django like comes into his own mid movie and he's in this world where everybody is trying to make him bend the knee and continue to be subjugated and he's looking around like, nope, I'm that guy.
Right.
And they both have this confidence to them like, no, like we've been through a lot, we've seen it all, like no, we didn't come back here to be anybody's boy, we didn't come back here to no. So yeah, no, I love it. I love when they're talking to the guy that sold them uh the farm at the beginning, and they're like, "What are you guys, twins?" They're like, "Nope, you're just cousins."
Your cousin, yeah. That's great. The way they mess with people. You know, I can't sit here and say I knew that dude was going to show back up. Did you make the connection of him saying the clan hadn't been around for years? Did you put all that together? Did it make sense as it got toward the end of the film?
I wouldn't have immediately assumed he was going to come back, but um, of course, at that time period, no, a white guy's not going to just sell these two guys a building and just go about his way.
Mm.
No, this idea that the clan is dead, they're gone away. No, no, I know people today that still say that the clan doesn't exist anymore. Of course
Oh
it
yeah,
does.
that's not true. Yeah, yeah. Of course, it's still around. Again, he's just I can't get enough of this guy, man. I already knew he was talented, but there again, like I just did not it did not take me out of the movie. There was one scene, which Phil, like CG is effing amazing. Like, why would it take you out? It's supposed to flow normally now and be a natural part of filmmaking, and it is. But like I never was took out of it. And it genuinely felt like two different actors. And there was one point watching the film where I kind of had to remind myself, wait a minute, this is oh, that's right. It's just he's the same guy. Like
Yeah,
because again, he just does such a bang up job here, man.
yeah, phenomenal job from him in both roles.
Yeah. We've also got Miles Caton, I think it's Caton, Caton or Caton, as Sammy Preacher Boy Moore. Dude, he and I didn't know anything about this going in. I stayed as spoiler free as I possibly could. So I did not know that by the end of the film, Sammy is Buddy Guy.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
great
I
reveal.
can dude, what a great twist, man. I love that.
Chicago legend, Buddy
Yeah.
Guy. Blues legend, Buddy Guy.
Yep.
Again, connects with me because I'm from here. Um, my grandfather was a big blues guy. 'Cause again, from Mississippi, and so everything that I know and everything I've grown to appreciate about blues music was from my grandfather.
Mm.
And so there's so many things about that I really appreciated. Yeah, what a great twist at the end to have him in a movie. I was so happy to see him. I was like, wow. That, but like the preacher boy character is just so great as well. Um, although like Michael B. Jordan does such a great job as Smoking Stack, this is really kind of his story.
Yeah.
Um, and from the very beginning, and just his relationship with his father, um, that very strange relationship between black people and religion in the South.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that it's kind of hard to get people to talk about because religion is so ingrained in the black community, and there's of course great reason for that. Um, but I'm glad that they talked about religion in this way here, and just the idea of sinners, and what is the title of this talking about? Who are the sinners? Is it
Mm.
the vampires? Is it the people? Is it Smoke and everybody that wanted to start the juke joint? Are
Mm.
they sinners? Is it Preacher Boy? Is it Preacher Boy's son because he wants to go and be a musician and he doesn't want to, you know, play secular. He wants to play secular music. He doesn't want to play gospel music. He doesn't want to be in the church like his father. He a sinner. I just think that question itself is so great because I think most people, especially black people, though, can understand being ostracized by your family because you're different and you don't want to do what is so ingrained in your family, and that's religion for a lot of us. And so when a lot of us reject religion, and even if it's just like I don't want to do certain parts of the religious experience,
Mm.
then you're kind of ostracized. You're already made out to be a sinner. You're wrong. I mean, and that could go in so many ways now. Just think about like homosexuality or people that are
Yeah.
like, I'm a practicing Catholic or practicing Baptist, and I believe in God, but I also want to live my own life, and I want to live my life separate of what our ancestors has taught us all that we have to do.
Mm.
And I think that's such a great through line throughout this movie. You have the twins that are just like, listen, man, I've been here, I've been in the war, I've been to Chicago, um, and we ended up back here, and you gotta make your own way in the world. And even with them saying that, they didn't even want him to go away to Chicago. They wanted him to stay at home.
Mm.
And it's just something to the idea for a lot of us of going against our family's wishes and trying to be your own person.
Have you bumped into that with your family? Not to get too nosy with you, but have you? And I know you're not the kind of guy to just flat out be abrupt and be blunt with. Yeah, I don't believe in that crap. Nothing like that. But you know, have you butted heads with people in your family over that stuff like that yet, or no?
Well, of course, I think we all have at some point. Um, and I at a very early age had questions. And the thing with religion is you're not supposed to question, you're just supposed to
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
And I had a lot of questions like, well, wait a minute, like if this is this, then why is this that way? Or, if we're taught this, what about this? And, you know, those questions are like, you're not supposed to do that. It's frowned upon. I've never been able to get past this idea though that the people that subjugated our ancestors, uh, that had our ancestors in chains and beat them and forced them into slavery, they were like, hey, here's this book though. We won't let you learn anything else. You can't learn to read or write, but here's the good book. You all guys can all learn religion. And one of the beatitudes is, hey, don't rise up. Don't try to stand up to your oppressed.
Mm.
Everybody, it's okay. Just go through this now because there'll be a better life for you in the afterlife. When this is all over, it'll be all right. And that's never never sat well with me. And like the fact that there's so many Southern Black people that are so linked to religion,
Mm.
and of course that's touched on in this movie. But yeah, and that's not to say I don't believe in God. I do, but just that aspect of this movie, I definitely connected with because I've had so many questions about the very sketchy history of Catholicism, and it's going all the way back to Europe. If you know your history with Catholicism or Christianity, uh, it's a lot of murky things in there, and I just have problems with things that are man-made that people tell you, no, 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 don't question it at all. There's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah, that's a problem. And like it's a good point what you said. They don't want you asking questions because it religion keeps you in line and religion gives you hope for what'll come after. And I'm like, yeah, but while we're here, we don't have anything. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, yeah. So man, I love his story. I love the idea that, um, of course, every we've seen the story of like the preacher's son or the preacher's daughter that wants to rebel. Um, but there's so many great things they do with him as a character throughout. His whole fight with Remick at the end, where he's essentially baptizing him. I don't know if people like he keeps dunking him into the lake, and
Mm.
he's essentially baptizing him. Uh, but yeah, I love that he is like telling him like, look, I'm just like you. We're oppressed too. They took, I'm from a land where they subjugated us and they erased our history too. But that's okay. You can be in this with me.
Mm.
We're all together in this though. And when you really read between the lines, it's basically him saying, because it's, boy, some people that believe in religion won't like this line of it, but it's essentially the same promise of religion. We're all in this together though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good point.
This thing
Yeah,
though, we're all in this together. This gives you
yeah,
something to believe in. And it's just another way to control you. It's another way to subjugate you.
yeah. Man, that's a really good point. Yeah, because again, sounds like a good game, but you kind of have to be dead in order to join the club.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I mean, of course, there are distinct differences between being unholy undead and,
Sure.
believing in a religion. You're
Oh,
literally giving up your soul. But
well, you know what's funny, Phil, is like for the vampire way, you have to be dead, but for the Christian way, you have to be born again.
yes, but
You
that's the
know?
thing. That's why I'm like, I think it was very intentional that Kugler drew similarities between religion and the vampires.
Mm,
Whether you be born again by getting baptized and, you know, whether you be born again by being murdered.
right. Yeah.
um, but yeah, man, there's so many brilliant things I think that there's so many brilliant ideas that they bring across here and the way that they leave them open ended. I don't think that the movie ever tries to lead people to hate religion. But I just think it's such an interesting way to look at it. It's such an interesting way to tell stories.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And by the way, kids, we're right about the name Smokestack. That does come from Smokestack Lightning. So that's pretty cool. I want to talk about, before we get to the rest of the cast here, I want to talk to you about that performance as they're in the juke joint.
Hmm.
Because, dude, I was totally caught off guard because I didn't, I've stayed away from spoilers. I didn't know about any of this that was going to happen. And I sat there for a second and I waited and I was like, oh, okay, all right. And like it took me a couple minutes, I'm not gonna lie to you. It took me a couple minutes before I realized what they were going for because one actor playing twin brothers didn't take me out at all. But I almost I almost got took out of this. But I just sat there and I just let it flow. And after a bit, I was like, all right, I think I'm okay with this. But I'm not gonna say it was risky because Kugler obviously knows what he's doing. But man, had this been played any other way, would it have been, oh my God, what's happening in this film? Like, what'd you think when you saw this?
Uh, I I thought watching it, I was like, okay, this is either people are gonna really love this scene or they're gonna hate it. It's gonna
Sure.
take them out of the movie, or they're gonna understand what Coogler's trying to say here. And I love the idea that music um, has always been for Black people a way of telling our stories and enriching our culture and passing on, our culture and tradition down to people. And I love that, like, for the entirety, all the way back to our ancestors, that's always been a thing. And so I love this idea that, you know, through music, you're awakening our ancestors, and you're reaching forward into the future for other people that are going to tell our stories in a different way through music. um, I love that, but I also love what he's trying to depict with the why the vampires are so interested in him, and why
Mm,
they wanted him, particularly in his music and his culture.
yeah.
There's some fantastic undertone there of our culture and what has happened to it. I mean, when you just think about what happened to jazz and what happened to blues and what happened to hip hop, and on and on and on, these things started as something pure. I mean, just take hip hop for example. This just started as a way for the youth to be able to express themselves and tell their stories. And you had all of these kids in parks getting in ciphers and rapping and all these things. And then corporations got involved, and then it
Mm,
changed. And I love this idea of, because this is part of the mythos of vampires, you have to allow them in.
right. Yeah.
And so I love this idea that they create this character that, you know, speaks for, what our music represents to our people. And then you have the vampires coming in like, hey, we want that. We want to assimilate that into our thing.
Mm,
But the thing is, you got to allow them to come in. They can't just take it.
mm,
You have to allow them to come in. And for better or worse, there's been so many situations where, for a better uh, way of life, for a better quality of life, Black artists have let some people in to our culture, and that did not end very well for us.
yeah. That's a great parallel, man. I can't sit here and say that I thought of that. That's a really good parallel. That's so the scene in particular, kids. Again, if you've seen the movie, you know what we're talking about. It's a big, complex like scoring. There's an orchestra, has a number of exceptionally talented, credited musicians. Two of the credited drummers are Lars Ulrich of Metallica, which I did not see coming. Cedric Burnside, who, if you know that last name, excuse me, if you know that last name, you know it's R.L. Burnside's son, or excuse me, grandson. Loved R.L. Burnside, man, legend. And blues legend Bobby Rush is credited as a harmonica player. Rhiannon Giddens, a founding member of the Carolina Chocolate Drops and acclaimed solo artist, is credited with playing the banjo and as a music consultant. And of course, Buddy Guy is credited as a resonator guitar player. I mean, dude, Coogler's got the right people on this. I mean, that whole sequence again. I think if a couple things don't work correctly, that sequence kind of falls flat. But I think the music was on point. The instrumentation was there. I mean, the dancing that's going on, you see all the different eras, all the different genres. I think it all got tied together really well, man. I mean, I love how it all turned out.
Yeah, it could have ended up being hokey, but I think with the right person behind it, it worked.
Mm,
I think for the most part, that's really what holds this movie together. There's an attempt at authenticity, um, that makes it feel more novel than it would have in somebody else's hands.
yeah. This is also Miles Catton's film debut.
Yeah, and he was fantastic. He did the singing as well. That was actually him singing. That was actually him playing guitar, I believe, as well.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
dude, when they're in the car and he starts belting out, like, I had the same reaction that Jordan did. So good, man. God, I couldn't get over how great he sounded.
Boink Studios is the home of Tom Clark's main event, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Visit the site today for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Check out the site and bookmark today, boinkstudios.com.
Because I was like, my first thought was, that's an old voice coming out of this guy who's pretty young. Do you know what I mean? He just sounds,
Yeah.
he's got aged, like he's got gravel to his voice. You know what I mean? It's textured. It's not cracking. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a very textured voice he has.
Yeah, young people that still want to make blues music, and that could still evoke that sound, it's rare.
Yeah.
There aren't that many, guys like him and like the Gary Clark Juniors
Yeah.
walking around that could still do that.
I'm glad you mentioned him. I love Gary Clark Jr. Yeah, there's still a few guys out there, man, who are still doing their thing, but you're right. It's, and then of course, as soon as I say that, because of the algorithm is tuned to what I listen to, I'll open Apple Music or whatever, YouTube, and there'll be a new blues band I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And I save everybody I can find that I enjoy just so I can have all that playing all the time. But yeah, it's pretty good. Charlie Patton is mentioned in this movie, which is very cool. I didn't see the twist with the guitar coming because they told him that they'd won it off Charlie Patton in a poker game. That was pretty cool, man. When it turns out it was their dad's guitar.
Yeah. Man, again, I love so much of the stuff that they do with family and our complicated relationship with
Mm.
family.
Mm.
Sometimes, just because our family mistreats us or whatever, and it sounds like their relationship with their father, it just has a lot attached to it. There's a lot of stuff there that they probably want to move past, but still their father. You can't pick your father. You can't pick your family.
Yeah. You had mentioned Black Panther earlier. So there's an X-shaped cross in the rafters of the church, and that is an homage to Black Panther Wakanda Forever and Chadwick Boseman because it was doing the Wakanda gesture in the beams.
Hmm.
And the
I didn't
cross
notice that.
followed certain characters around. I totally missed that.
Yeah, it's sad. I really wish Coogler got to make more movies with Chadwick.
Same. Yeah. Yeah, it's still a sad thing, man. The way he passed and he kept everything quiet and such a talented guy, man, for sure.
Yeah, very sad. When I think about just how much Chadwick gave to Black culture, though, knowing that he wasn't well, and just all of the cultural icons that he managed to bring to life in his career.
Mm.
What a special actor, man.
Yeah, no kidding. And going through that, doing that Wakandan voice, dude, if you didn't know any better, that's how he talked because it was effortless. Even the best actors will try an accent. You're like, oh, that's tough to hear.
Yeah.
But man, he was great at it. We had to mention Delroy Lindo, who I don't think has aged in 20 years. I swear to God, I think this guy looks the same as he did 20 years ago, which is crazy. I heard him on Mark Maron's podcast, WTF, a few weeks back. Really, really good appearance. And I've always been a fan of this guy. I was a fan of Delroy Lindo back to Soul of the Game, um, about the African American Leagues of Baseball, which he's fantastic. And he played Satchel Paige. And I think I knew him from something before then. But dude, a guy of his experience and his caliber, anytime you add a veteran actor to a production who's respected, it's going to bring something to it, man. I thought he was great in this movie.
Absolute legend. Just the amount of stuff he's been attached to, movies and television, like legend. I was very excited to see him because I didn't even know he was in the movie until I was sitting down in the theater watching it, and I couldn't have been more excited to see him. And boy, he's doing some exceptional acting in this movie.
He does. Yeah, he's fantastic, man. He's really, really good. He went out like a hero for sure.
Yeah, our introduction to him, where he's just a wino. That's what
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
old folks used to say. He was a wino, and like you first look at this guy, it's like, oh, he's just drunk,
Mm.
and so like their interaction with him, and him getting to know Preacher Boy and appreciating his talent and accepting him, such a good scene. And the other scene when they're in a car and he's explaining the prisoners that they drove by, and he's waving to them, and he tells their story, and then he goes right back to drinking. It's like heartbreaking, but man, he plays it so well.
Mm. He's absolutely crushing it here. He's Delta Slim. Could you get more on the nose with a name for a character? Come on, man. It's all right though. I was here for it. Haley Steinfeld, who should stick out, and I don't mean for color or anything, but like she should stick out because does she fit the vibe of this movie? Man, especially when she gets turned. Wow. I mean, I think she was absolutely the right choice. She plays Mary, Stack's ex-girlfriend. She was she was something different for sure, but man, I thought she was really good here, dude.
Yeah, I was a big fan of her in Hawkeye. I think she's fantastic in there.
That's true. Yeah.
I think she's all around a pretty good actress. She's also great in the Spider Verse movies. But I thought she was great here because this is so unique than anything else she's done. Um, I mean, we just talked about Spider Verse going from very family friendly role to this that's not family friendly at all.
Not a
Uh,
bit.
and she's great. I think, like you said, just both playing herself early in the movie and playing herself as a vampire. I think she does a tremendous job.
Mm.
Um, I think there's so much stuff in this movie that is wrapped in trauma, and her story with Stax is so traumatic because um, when they first see her, and he's just basically like, yeah, get out of here, leave me, nope, get out of here, and you get more and more that he's trying to protect her from uh what comes with being in an interracial relationship in the 30s, which is unheard of.
Mm.
Um, but at the same time, this is a black man from Chicago in Mississippi talking to a white woman. If you know your history, of course, a black man from this city got beat to death because of a white woman for whistling at a white woman.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, of course, when you see that scene immediately, like for some of us, our skin just starts like all the hair starts raising on our skin. It's like, yeah, get away from her. Like, nope. Don't sound like a good idea. You guys should not be anywhere near each other. And so that's what Stack's trying to tell her the whole movie. Like, nope, get away from me. Nope, go over there. Stay away.
Dude, she just wants to be with him. Like that's all she wanted before. She didn't care about differences or anything, but like she can't see the forest for the trees. He's not just protecting himself and his family, he's protecting her as well.
Yeah, because of course, he might feel the same way, but at that time period, there's no there's no real life together for us. He knows that.
Yeah. Yeah. I hated that she got turned. I mean, the way the movie starts with Preacher Boy showing up at his dad's church, and then it says like, the day earlier, and I'm like, wait a minute, this whole film's going to take place in the span of one day. Dude, I had a sense of dread watching this. It wasn't, oh,
Yeah,
I don't want to watch this movie, but I just knew it was coming. And
yeah.
like, I'm like, dude, if he's the only one that showed up at the church, he's probably the only one that made it out alive. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, you just see everything's gonna get worse and worse, and the more and more you you get sucked into this world with all the world building they're doing, it's like, oh, none of this is gonna end well for any of these people though.
Mm-mm.
Um, but yeah, Mary's story is great. I love that she thinks I can go out there and reason with them because such a that's such a white passing black person thing to do. They
Yeah.
think, oh, I can go out there and assimilate with the rest of them because they don't see me like they see the rest of you. So I can go out there and talk to them. And of course, it
Right.
ends badly for her. But also, what I said earlier about you gotta let them in. You gotta let them into our culture. And what is usually the price of admission to our culture? Money.
Yeah,
The
that's
idea that
true.
she went out there was like, well, maybe they have money. And that's why she ended up getting turned because she went out there for them trying to find a way for them to make money.
Because you knew when she went out there, it's over. They got her. They're gonna get her.
Yeah. Remick is just he's such a fascinating character too. Like when he goes out there, when she goes out there and they're all singing.
He's killing them with kindness too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's he's such a he's such a terrifying character in some ways, but also like just the very allure that he has. Like
Yeah.
when he turns the Asian guy and he comes back to the door and he's talking to his wife and he starts talking to her in Mandarin, chills. Like
Yeah.
this guy is horrible.
Yeah. No kidding. That's Jack O'Connell as Remick, by the way. He's an Irish vampire. And the fact that they were singing those old world songs, like I was just like, man, these are old songs. This is not, yeah, this was written in, like last week or something. No, no, no. This was like 1800s or older. Like it just had that vibe to it, which I thought was effing great because you don't know how long have they been walking around like this? How long have they been vampires? Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I thought it was very smart to go with Irish as well. Because Irish, of course, have ties to Catholic religion. Irish also have a very complicated history with this country and immigration with Irish and how the Irish were um, treated when they came to America. There's some similarities there. Um, of course, not entirely similar to African Americans coming here enslaved, but um, I love that that's part of his appeal and that's part of his pitch to them. Like, no, we're more alike than you think.
Mhm.
Just let me in. What do you mean? Like, I'm like you. They didn't want me here either.
Right.
Like they tried to erase my culture and they did the same thing to me. But we're in this together.
Yeah. Again, that line they're using is pretty good. It's
I
hard to
just want to
argue with it.
I just want your ability to reach your ancestors so I can reach my ancestors too. I just want to be able to tell stories just like you.
Mm. Yeah, man, when she walks back up to that door and she asks Cornbread, I couldn't remember the character's name, played by Omar Miller, you gonna let me in? I'm like, oh yeah, they definitely got her. Cause oof.
Yeah, definitely changed when she comes back in. Definitely more abrasive,
Mhm.
everything. Um, yeah, there's several scenes with her and Michael B. Jordan. Now it's like, oh, you guys got away with this, huh? I didn't think we were gonna go that far with it, but okay.
Right?
When,
Jeez.
when she comes back in and uh, because I mean, she says very vulgar things throughout the movie, but when she comes back in and they're having a sex scene in the closet or whatever that cellar they're in,
Mm.
and he's like, "Baby, you're drooling." She's like, "Oh, you want some?" I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, where are
dude.
we? We're here now, huh?"
Yeah, we got there very quick, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think she played all of that very well. Like I said, Remick is fantastic. Um, he plays all of the notes to this as well as you would expect. The desperation, where he's getting chased down by the Native Americans, and he's trying to get them to get that family to let him in,
Mm.
and we find out later that they're Klan.
Yeah.
But he's like he's smoking, and you can tell like they have been beating down on this guy. His eyes all black, and he's like, "Yeah, just let me in, let me in. I'm with you guys. Like they're the enemy."
Yeah.
But
Hot.
again, great undertones of while the Irish came here and they did have a sordid history here, they also can assimilate because they also have white skin. They could go,
That's true.
"Yeah, I'm like you. Let me in."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
And that's what he did. He came straight to the house and was like, "No, no, I'm like you. No, the Native Americans. I don't look. We got a shared enemy in them. Like you're scared of those guys, so am I. Let me in."
Man, I kind of wanted to go getting more of the story of these Choctaw vampire hunters, man. I kind of wanted to see more of those guys, dude.
I thought that was great when they were like, "Yeah, is that guy in there with you guys?" And he's just like, "I know what he's told you, but believe me, you don't want that guy in there.
Yeah,
Just
right.
send him back out there with us, and we'll take care of him." And yeah, well, we know where that went because let this man in their house, and did not go very well for that couple.
Yeah, dude. Whew. Yeah, like I said, it didn't go well. She got bitten. He bit her on the back to cover, of course, I'm assuming, so no one would see the wound. But like these vampires don't seem to heal. Or if they do heal, they don't heal that quickly, which is different. But the garlic thing, it does affect them because she had garlic water that she sprayed
Hmm.
or that she doused him with, so that did affect him. And of course, the let me in has to be invited in, and then the wooden stake through the heart. So I guess they've got all the things. We didn't cross the bridge of can they see the reflection and do we have
Yes.
any cross? The cross thing didn't come up either, did it?
It didn't really come up that much, but yeah, the sunlight, of course. All of the
Yeah, yeah,
usual vampire mythos.
yeah. Because she was calling him Hanks at first, wasn't she?
Very southern, very Mississippi thing. Again,
Oh,
I I I remember all that stuff because when you go down to Mississippi, you hear all of the witch tales and stuff like don't go out too late. So the horrors might be out there, spooks might be out there.
mm,
And Mississippi, it gets very dark still. Like there are certain areas where um, there'll be a house and then there won't be another house for miles, and there'll be like maybe like a few street lights scattered in between there. So it gets very dark.
mm.
Um, yeah, very terrifying for many reasons. Also, like I don't want to get into what you know about what a sundown town and all this rest of this stuff. Like you better be inside if you're black after sundown.
I've heard the term. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's scary, but not for supernatural reasons.
Yes, I mean, and
Yeah.
so taking those kind of things and adding horror to it is such a smart. That's such a smart move, man, especially for that time period in the 30s.
Has it been done? I mean,
I mean, well, I think we're just now getting into an era where you see more black creators tackle horror.
oh, yeah.
Um, I think I think the fact that Coogler wanted to do it because it's such a different thing. Of course, Jordan Peele did it as well with Get Out.
Mhm.
But I love it. I love that we're getting more things like this.
Oh, dude, it's yeah. There's definitely a place for it. A long time coming. And as you said, that getting these stories like where we haven't had them before, I mean, we obviously need them.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I laugh to stop myself from getting really upset by it, but there's so much trauma that comes with the black experience, and so taking that and adding it to a horror film, it's genius because it's a way to tell a story revolving around trauma in a way that other people can understand, and you can
Mm.
bring other people in.
Yeah, yeah. It's more accessible to people who may not understand
Yeah.
what. Yeah, I get it. No, dude, that's yeah. Because you got to have a way in. No matter what story you're telling, you got to have a way in. So
Yeah, there are things about this movie that'll go over some heads, but of course, it's up for interpretation, like everything, and some people interpret it differently, given their experiences and certain things they know. Like I said, as a black man, as a black man that's grandparents, and I mean both my parents, both their mother and father are from Mississippi,
mm,
so I have a lot of family from the South.
yeah. Well, double-edged sword.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of that's what I'm saying. There's certain things about it in religion, and like, I mean, I'm not that far removed from a generation in my family that did not know how to read and write.
Mm,
My grandmother's father did not know how to write his own name.
yeah. Well, the more things change, right? Because I've told you this before. I drive past a Klan house every day. Every
Yeah,
day. The number of Confederate flags in this town.
Yeah.
in the nearby town on the interstate. They're everywhere. It's we're not so evolved. I mean, this is 2025 when we do this show. Everybody listening in real time knows we've de-evolved, if anything. We're not so progressive for as many of us who are forward thinking and want to move ahead and don't want to not ignore the past by any means, but want to do better and be better. Phil, I can't say there's twice as many that don't, but sometimes it feels that way.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely a part of that generation where it became more acceptable to go to college because my grandparents didn't go to college. My my mother went to college later on, but yeah, I'm not that far removed from generations that not only didn't go to college, that didn't know how to read or write.
Right.
Those are still new things, and that's fascinating in itself. That all of this stuff wasn't that long ago. I don't think people realize that. Like the civil rights movement was only 60 years ago,
60 years ago, yeah.
not that long ago.
No, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, this isn't something that was like hundreds of years ago. This was within the last century.
Yeah. Shocking when you start doing math on the time. It really is. Let's see. We've also got Smokes. They call her Smokes' partner, but for all intents and purposes, I'd say it's Smokes' wife. Wunmi Masako is Annie, and hopefully I didn't butcher that. She is a hoodoo, listed as a hoodoo practitioner. Man, I like her. She is awesome. Like just the strength of the character and her as an actress just brought it to life. I thought she was great here as Annie, man.
Yeah, she was great. She's been popping up a lot more recently. Of course, she was in Loki.
Mhm.
Because she was in Loki as a member of the TVA. She was also in Deadpool and Wolverine. She was in the show on HBO that I'm drawing a blank on, Lovecraft Country. She was in that as well.
Oh, that's right. Dude, I have not checked that out. Have you?
Yeah, it was an alright show. It was another
Really?
show that did some more like horror space stuff with that time period and black people. So that was interesting that somebody from that show ended up here.
Mm.
It's a perfect fit. But she's such a great actress. I like all of the stuff between her and Michael B. Jordan. It's played so well when we see them interact for the first time. Like the warmth and love between them is so believable. I love that she is the voice of reason oftentimes in this movie, and she's never ignored. Everybody listens to her.
Mhm.
They're like, "We want you here. We need you." Like she's never treated like some crackpot either. When she starts explaining like what the vampires are, they listen to her.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't ever just like, no, get out of here. And I love that. I thought that made her character even better. I love that
Yeah.
she doesn't even flinch and like, listen, if they bite me, just kill me. She never is just like, keep me here. She never is like selfish about it. She's just like, nope, you have got to kill me if I get bitten.
Mm.
No hesitation.
Yeah. You know she's talented, but man, she freaking crushed it. Like
Yeah.
again, I can't say enough good things about her. So there's an interesting dynamic here because I don't know if we got enough of Pearline. And Pearline, great name by the way. I don't think I've ever heard that as a first name. Pearline, played by Jamie Lawson. I don't think we got enough of her at all. We didn't. Well, Phil, we didn't get enough of anybody in this movie because they're all dead in one night, But like, it feels like Annie's character was a little bit more fleshed out than Pearline's was, maybe, or maybe I'm just reading into that wrong. I thought she was great either way.
I don't think that we were supposed to get that much with Pearline. I think Pearline was supposed to be specifically a tragic character.
Mm,
Again, it's just this idea of the title of the movie is Sinners, and she's a married woman that is,
mm,
committing adultery with this guy and all of this stuff that's happening in this night. All of these things have consequences.
mhm.
But you know, I think she's a great character in her own right, but Annie's just such a different character because you're supposed to get this idea of the different dynamics between both of these twin brothers in their relationships.
Mhm.
Um, Smoke has somebody that he truly loves, and you can really feel the love and tenderness between them. But even that had its level of tragedy to it. That they had lost their kid,
Mm.
and that was man, that was hard once you realize what they were talking about early in the movie. I was like, oh, it's terrible. It's
Terrible.
just it creates this dynamic with both of these guys where they both have a love interest, but there's something that's keeping them apart. It's something from keeping them from just being in Mississippi and living with the person they love and being happy.
Yeah, because he flat out tells her every time I come back, it hurts. It's too hard, right?
Yes. And so I love that. I love that they create that idea between both of them, that they both have tragedy in their lives, not just with their family and the stuff with their father, but the person that they attempted to be with. I mean, there's such a great dichotomy with that either, because I know that for me, as a black man, as an adult, buddy, let me tell you, um, if you have a strained relationship with your parents, that is going to taint every relationship you try to have,
Well, you said that right.
because it's just the truth of the matter. Like, if you don't know a good marriage growing up, then you don't really know how to keep a relationship together later in life.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids that are products of divorces or lived in a household where their parents constantly fought or whatever else, those people usually don't have great relationships, or at least they have to work very hard at it.
Yeah, you're right. It affects it, and it's easy to, and I don't want to say pin it on childhood because that's not what it is. But man, how many people are walking around right now just fractured by
Yeah.
things that happened as a child, whether it was their parents divorced, or it was domestic abuse, or it was sexual abuse, or it was the death of a parent, or or abandonment. I mean, affected for the rest of your days, and like you said, it affects every relationship you have from that point on too.
Yes. It's hard to trust anybody.
It
Hard
is.
to trust people when the first people you meet in your life, the first people that really teach you how to love, break your trust.
Yeah, and it never should be that way, of course. See, we've also got Peter Germanis, I think, as Bert. He's a local clan member and husband of Joan, played by Lola Kirk. That's the trio that come knocking, and of course they do the smart thing and don't let them in. Lee Jun Lee as Grace Chow. This is Bo's wife. Bo Chow is played by an actor named Yao. That works for me. Man, when she goes nuts because she's afraid about her husband who's turned, that they're going to go get her daughter, which is probably unfounded because, everything they want's in that building. Tom Clark's 6M podcast is sponsored in part by Radius Law Group. Every day, Radius helps individuals, families, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations throughout North Carolina, Florida, and Pennsylvania resolve their legal issues by providing effective legal counsel in the areas of estate planning, as well as elder law and Medicaid. Radius Law holds the radical belief that working with a lawyer can indeed be enjoyable. So give them a call at 1-800-519-5667 for more information and tell them that Tom Clark's 6M podcast sent you. And, by going into town, and I'm writing another movie, but like by going into that town, you're opening a whole can of worms because even though you can take out the whole town if you want to, that's a heck of a lot of work. And, if they figure out who you are, they could probably figure out how to kill you. And why not just stay where you are and just try to take everybody out of this house, or this place. But, when she stands there and tells them to come on in, and dude, the camera closes in on Remick. I'm like, I was like yelling. I'm like, oh my God, what have you done? What have you done? Like, it just blew the doors off, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, I remember being on social media for the first few days after the movie came out, and how people reacted to her doing that. People were so upset with her, rightfully so.
Yeah.
um, and man, people are just like, oh, see, this is why uh, you can't trust people, blah blah blah. And people, yeah, people unsurprisingly got racist
Good God.
because I saw some people say very weird things about Asian people after that, which I don't think is supposed to be what your takeaway from Grace's character is. Um, Grace fits such a different role with those characters because again, it's this idea of sinners. All of these people, this cast of characters that are in the juke joint, a lot of them have nothing to lose.
Hmm.
Like when you think of like Delta Slim, he's got no family to go home to. They don't really talk about his family
Yeah, it's
at all.
true.
Smoke and Snack, they have each other. Like Mary and all the rest of these characters, they don't mention any of this, but Grace has a kid at home. She from the very beginning of this movie, um, she has what some of these other characters don't have. They have a marriage, they have a happy marriage, and they have a kid.
Mhm.
And they already had a business that they started in the town. She's looking at it like, and also the guilt of you sent him out there. She knows she sent him out there to start the car, and so she's probably looking at it like it's my fault this happened to him, and I'm not gonna let this. I'm not gonna let him take my kid away from me.
Yeah.
She's probably looking at it like I would rather die than let him have my kid.
Mm.
Yeah, very hard to watch.
It's extremely hard to watch. Dude, hindsight 2020, what happens if they don't get let in there? Like, do we get a different ending than the one we had?
Uh, well, it's inevitable. Like you had, in some ways, it's a plot device. You had to get past how did they get in?
Right.
Because if we're all wondering for the entire movie, how did they get in? Like at some point, something has to happen. Something has to be the catalyst to let them in.
Yeah.
And so, otherwise, it's just like, what are we just gonna wait until sunrise? That's not an interesting movie.
It is to me if I don't want to die, you know?
Yeah. But again, there's this idea of assimilation that is throughout this movie. I don't know if people pick this up, but there's this idea that there are a lot of other minorities that are like, yeah, yeah, sure, come into our culture. We want to assimilate. And sometimes desperation can be very self destructive.
Yeah.
Literally, for Grace, it's self destructive.
Right. Yeah. Good point. Dude, the at the end when they're all singing and dancing that jig,
Yeah.
like as a kid, Thriller scared the crap out of me. Even though I was a Michael Jackson fan, that video scared me. This is horrifying. Like they've dressed it up with that music, but man, they're all dancing in a circle around them. Dude, this is horrifying.
Yikes.
Right? I can't run fast enough, brother. I'll tell you that. There's no chance. Like I just what's the joke? I don't have to be the fastest guy. I just got to be faster than you, right? Like you got
Yep.
to get me out of here, man. I'm not Blade. Are you kidding me? I never mentioned the fact that Smoke and Stack worked for Capone, and I freaking love that. I love that they didn't dwell on it and they didn't make it a massive plot point, but that you knew they were running from trouble. But like, I just love that it was understated. But I did a double take. I'm like, wait, I rewound. I'm like, did they say Capone? Oh, that's awesome. What a nice touch, man.
Yeah. I love that, their characters are so tied to the history between Mississippi and Chicago.
Mm,
Again, as somebody that's from Chicago, I love that part of it.
very cool. Saul Williams, who I don't think we mentioned, plays Jedediah. That is Sammy's father, the pastor. We've also got David Maldonado as Hogwood. He's the local KKK leader. Things don't end well for him. Which is
Yeah.
good.
Man, what a great addition to have Saul Williams here. Saul Williams, of course, is a poet.
Yeah.
He's been referenced multiple times in other people's music. He's made cameos on several people's albums. Early in Kanye's career, he was on Kanye's album. He's been on a bunch of other hip hop artists' albums. I didn't even recognize him at first, but that was so cool to see him here.
He did a great job too, man. What's that line? If you keep playing the devil's music, one of these days he's going to follow you home,
Yeah.
or keep dancing with the devil. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, that you won't. You throw a rock down south, and you'll hit any number of preachers that believe that music is going to send you to hell, and the devil's in everything you listen to. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't agree with that.
No.
you know,
Yeah, but I mean, it just goes to show you how confining religion can be for people. Because it becomes so fear based for people. Like, well, if you do
yeah,
that, you're going to hell. If you do this, you're going to hell.
yeah.
And there is so much of that for some people growing up that it's like, I just can't listen to this anymore. I got to live my own life.
Yeah, it's very much motivated out of fear. If I don't do the right thing, it's over. Like I just got to. It's not even about getting to heaven. It's about staying out of hell. I'm like, this is fear mongering. I know what fear mongering looks like. It's scare tactics to keep me in line. Like I don't need or want that, man.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that way. Of course, I've grown up around a lot of very religious people. Um, most of my dad's family, most of his brothers are preachers. So that's not what religion is supposed to be for people.
Mm.
It's not supposed to be this thing that keeps you in constant fear. And I can't understand why some people would live their life that way in constant like fear or constantly judging other people's actions. Like that's not what it's supposed to be.
Not at all. Yeah, to be the group of people who are supposedly saved and going to a better place, but they sure do tend to, want to scare the crap out of you and all hang out together and not be around anybody that doesn't look or sound like them. I got another word for that. It ain't church. I'm sorry. I'm very soured on the concept of organized religion at all. Just not feeling it, kids. Not feeling it. To each his own, to each her own. If that's what you want to do, that's cool. But yeah, not really for me though, if I'm being honest. We've got Helena Hugh as Lisa Chow. She's Bo and Grace's daughter. Andre Ward Hammond as Ruthie. She's Sammy's mother. Nathaniel Arcand as Chayton. He's a Choctaw vampire hunter. I love the words Choctaw vampire hunter. I don't, they mentioned a sequel to Cougar, the possibility of a sequel. And, I don't know that we'll ever get anything like that. But buddy, if we got anything at all, I would love to see Choctaw vampire hunters. Dude,
That'd
are
be
you
pretty
kidding
cool.
me? Wouldn't that be great? Dude, that's a comic waiting to happen right there, man.
Yeah, I love their place in this movie as well because for so much of cinema, so much of American cinema, Native Americans are treated as like, this deity or like the bad guys. Like and so the fact that they're treated here with like respect to their culture
Mm,
and they're really the guys that are ahead of the curve, like, yeah, we gotta this guy's a threat to us all. We gotta get rid of this guy.
right? Yeah. They were the ones, man. Again, I want to know who else they got.
Yeah. I also love that, like when we talk about Pearline, that it wasn't like all of this stuff happened in the juke joint, and this is just a terrible night for everybody, and there are no consequences. Like, man, it's just so when you really think about it, it's like, man, like Pearline's husband is like was waiting for her to come home. She never went home.
That's right.
Um, Grace, Grace and I think Boa was his name, right?
Hmm.
Grace and Bo never went home to their kid. Cornbread never went home to his family. All of these
That's true.
people, they died.
And there's bodies of the clan, and Michael B. Jordan's body's there, but like the rest of them burned up.
Yeah,
No trace.
they're just gone. Yeah,
Yeah. Look, again, I'm not trying to write my own movie here, but in the end, when Remix in the water, dude, for a split second, as he's like dying, it felt like there was a moment coming where he would have like relief. Do you know what I mean? Did you get that at all, or did you just feel like, oh, it's a vampire dying, it doesn't matter? Like it kind of felt like, oh, thank God it's over. Do you know what I mean? It kind of felt that way, man.
yeah. I thought he played really well. I thought his
Yeah,
facial expression said a lot throughout the movie.
yeah. Because he had that one line about what was it he said when they came for me. In other words, they came, quoting scripture or whatever, singing that song. That's what it was. The Lord's Prayer or whatever, that when they came for me, and I'm like, "Oh my God." dude, what this guy go through to get to this point,
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, a lot of damaged people walk around this movie, Phil. Even the vampires are damaged. I mean, of course.
Yeah.
What did you think about the hive mind that's going on here, where they're all feeling each other's pain and like they're all sharing each other's thoughts? I thought that was a nice twist, man. I mean, that's not a that is a vampire thing too, but I thought it was really well done here, man.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because we've seen vampires handled in so many different ways in so many different medias, and I love that it's not just as simple as, oh well, they got bitten, then they turned into like these mustache twirling bad guys and they're all evil. Like I love that they're like complex characters still.
Mhm.
Yeah, they all had like the hive mind and they shared all those things, which is very creepy. But I love that like they all still had separate wants, and we saw that um, at the end of the movie when we find out like what happened. Like, man, there's such a great scene where Annie gets turned, and because she told Smoke immediately, like, kill me, don't I? He like keep your promise, kill me.
Mm,
And
mhm.
so when he does it, Mary immediately reacts like she is like all upset, and she's like trying to run in to save her because she still thinks like we're family.
Yeah, it's such a entertaining. I was gonna say fun. Boy, it's not a fun movie, but it's so entertaining and it's so well written. Like Everybody Dead in One Night. It's not typically the kind of movie I tend to watch again,
Yeah,
but I'm watching it again right now, and it is just
so good.
it's
Uh,
so good, right?
yeah, and I think all of the stuff that's happening by the time we get to the main conflict and all the after effects, all of it hits so much harder because, like I said, they did such a great job of world building and building all these little small relationships. And so
Mm.
you cared about all these things. Like I said, when Mary reacted when Andy died, it hit because we had that interaction with them early in the movie where she acknowledges Mary and tells her like we're family.
Yeah,
And there's so many other moments like that. I mean, the moment between Stack and Smoke when we find out what becomes of him, and he can't bring himself to kill him because, man, he's my brother.
yeah,
He's the only person that has always had my back, no matter what.
yeah, yeah. Did you think you'd see a vampire just hesitate? He hesitated. I thought that was freaking great, man.
Yeah, I love that. I love that he couldn't bear to do it. I love that neither of them could bear. Like they had this connection that was so deep.
Yeah,
Like I love that. I love like everything about it. Like their promise they made. I thought the twist at the end. I did not expect that. That was great.
that was very cool.
And again, all this stuff tied to Chicago, that time period, all really good. Yeah, post credit scene also great. Yeah, what a great movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's so much to take away from it. There's so many small things. I'm sure if I rewatch it, I'll notice some things that I missed the other time, the first time I watched it. But yeah, what a really well written movie. Like you said, very entertaining, but just there's so much to think about coming away from it.
There is, yeah. It's deep meaning. It's not just gory vampire stuff, man.
Yes. And none of the violence ever feels like it's just too over the top that it takes me out of the movie.
No, not at all. You know me, I don't do horror. It's not my thing, but I very much wanted to see this because I'm a fan of a lot of this cast anyway. And of course, the director, man, dude, Ryan Coogler has a fanboy pass for the rest of his days because of Black Panther. If he had done nothing else, he would have been welcomed into every comic book convention on the planet because this guy brought us Black Panther. It is still, and I know we've done that movie and talked a lot about it, but man, I again maybe my favorite Marvel film. Just anybody that can do that,
Yes.
yeah, you got a fan in me, buddy.
He did this thing twice, and he's made me cry both times he did it. Where he'll do something around death and funerals, and it always comes with white. It's never with black. You
Mm,
notice that? Like the funeral
mm,
at the beginning of Wakanda Forever, they're all wearing white, and
ooh,
when we see all the ancestors and ancestral plane, they're all wearing white. When we see and Jakku come back in Wakanda Forever. He's of course draped in white. And
Right.
so when we get the scene after Smoke has the fight with all the Klansmen and he's dying, and he's reunited with Annie, and Annie's in all white, and he has their kid. I was like, God damn it, he got me.
Oh, that was tough to watch. It was.
It's a
Yeah, it was
beautiful,
emotional.
beautiful scene, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough to watch. And like for a split second, the breastfeeding thing threw me for a
Yeah,
split second. And then I thought, well, the baby didn't have a chance to do that.
yeah,
And I was
uh,
like, oh my God, I get it. Like,
yeah.
dude,
Very
woo,
beautiful. Put out that smoke. I don't want you to get any other kid. Oh my God, they got
dude,
me.
that was awesome.
But then also when you tie that back to just the metaphor of being born again in church, and when he when he goes when preacher boy goes back to church, they're all wearing white.
They are. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It's a thing for Kugler. Yeah.
Yeah, he does it. He does it several times. Man, the scene at the end of Wakanda Forever, what a beautiful movie. I know some people have their issues with it because they want a straight up sequel to Black Panther and they want to recast uh T'Challa and all of these things. But what a beautiful movie! And just the end of the movie, uh, when Shuri finally accepts the ritual and like has like a funeral for her mother, and she finally accepts like some things are out of your control, like some things you just can't control, and her acceptance at the end of the movie is just so beautifully played. He does so many scenes like that throughout his career so well, and he does a few of them in this movie as well. That's just like, and that's what I felt for Smoke at the end, just acceptance. Like after everything he's been through, it's over. It's okay. Just go home. It's over.
Mhm. Yeah. Man, again, visionary. I mean, I hate using that word because it's kind of lame. Like, you know what I mean? It's such a big word. It's like that. Man, is it too much? But man, he just knows how to do this. Like,
Yeah. You're
you know what
saying
I mean?
you're saying
Oh,
Cougar struts in the room with like all the fire behind him.
yeah,
Dun-dun-dun-dun, dun,
yeah,
dun,
yeah.
dun-dun-dun-dun, 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 dun, dun.
And like, I again, I heard him on Marin's podcast, and just a normal guy, just
Yeah,
smart, but just cool, normal. Well, I mean, well spoken and casual, and this guy's probably richer than everybody, and like he just didn't come off that way at all. He was,
yeah. It wears all of his influences on his sleeve.
yeah,
Very Oakland guy. You can
yeah.
hear it in the way he talks. Very Oakland, California accent. Um, and he was on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. That's Carmelo and Meryl's podcast.
Ah,
Cass from The Ringer is also on there.
mhm.
And I think it was Cass that asked him, uh, is Sinners his best movie? And he gave such a great answer, man. And that just tells you the way he thinks about art and the way he thinks about these things. And he's just like, I can't tell you if it's the best movie. That's for the people to decide. I made all of these movies at a different time in my life, and they meant different things for me when I made them. And so I know what they mean to me, but I can't really tell people what to think of them. Like it's up for you guys as an interpretation. Once I make these things and I put them out there, it's for you guys to enjoy and for you guys to tell me what you think is the best one.
That's good. And this movie got a lot of press when it came out because it wasn't like backed by the studio necessarily. I don't believe so. Like it was still like treated as like an independent film, but man, this thing, I think that's one of the things that initially put it on people's radar, but then word of mouth got out about how phenomenal this movie is, and it became everybody's got to go see it. This thing's got 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it's just again, man, like I just can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, really great movie. Definitely lives up to the hype.
And it doesn't have to be the Choctaws, but I just think a sequel would just be too hard. You know what I mean? Not impossible. He could do whatever he wanted. Kugler's smart enough; he could figure this out. But I just don't see that it even really needs it.
Yeah, I think this works so well as a standalone movie. I don't think that it needs it.
I mean, if they wanted to think about, let's put something in the same universe, possibly, but even then, like Cornbread's not going to be in it. I don't know why I love that name so much.
Yeah, what man? What a great actor too. Omar Miller. He's been in so many things, whether it be in
Yes.
little small roles. Of course, every time I think about him in 8 Mile. 10 freaky girls. 10 freaky girls.
I don't think I knew that he did the voice of Raphael on Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I did know that. But yeah, he's done so much. I think he's in the first Transformers film. He's of course in the TV show on HBO with The Rock, Ballers. He's been around for a long time. He's done a lot of acting.
Yeah. And he resembles not Saul Guerrero. That's the Star Wars character. I just renamed the actor. And now I can't remember the actor's name.
Oh, are you talking about Forrest Whitaker?
Dude, a little bit. He kind of resembles him, I think.
Yeah, he does kind of resemble him.
Yeah.
But very tall guy.
He
He's a big
is,
guy.
my God. 6'4", 6'5", maybe? That's a tall dude, man.
Yeah, I love his little bits in the movie where he's like, "Well, come on, man, you gonna let me in?"
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that part where he has his arms stretched, it's like, "Come on, man. Well, it's a neighborly thing to do, right? Let me in."
Dude, the way he played it was actually chilling. Like, it was scary because, like, you knew they got him. That's the thing about horror that's done well. It's not the gory effects and stuff. It's that it's just cold, just heartless. That kind of horror, like The Smile. That just they got swagger. They're suave, but like they're just completely freaking evil, man.
Yeah. I love that. Again, that's what a part of the reason I love the end of it, and I love the ending of the movie is when they're talking at the end, and Preacher Boy now, Buddy is like, he asks Stack like, how do you feel about that night? And he was like, it's the greatest night of my life.
Hmm.
And he was like, yeah, mine too. And it's just like, when you think about it, yeah, it's just, man, what a tragic story, man. Because all of these people, like, yeah, I'm sure he did think like he felt more free than he had ever felt. Like he's able to play his music and he was able to be his his legitimate self before he went off and you know became apparently this international star.
Yeah, really, dude. Should the juke joint have had more than one night, or do you think it was cool that it all happened in the same night and that was the end of it?
I think there's something to say about how fleeting Black joy is. And I think that's kind of the beautiful thing about it. But also, of course, what makes it so incredibly tragic.
Yeah, that's fair because I really wanted to see more of it. Like,
Yeah, but of course that's what it is. Like there's so many people from the 30s, Black people, that should have gotten happy endings and they didn't. And we wanted them to. There's so many Black people throughout history that we wanted to get happy endings and they didn't get it.
yeah,
I mean, this is again what's so brilliant about the movie, and like taking something very real about the South and trauma at that time. When you think about it, like, yeah, if you strip away vampires and all the rest of this stuff, how many Black people at that time were probably just disappearing and just never came home to their families?
that's true.
It was just probably such a regular occurrence.
And Phil, you don't get this nuance from a white filmmaker doing this movie, do you?
No, no.
It's just going back and doing this and watching it again. It just adds so much more to it. Adds so
Yeah.
much more depth to it.
Yeah. And listen, I know there's something to be said about like fantasy fulfillment of all of these historic moments, but Black men killing slave owners will never not be gratifying to me. I'm sorry. I don't care how many times I've watched Django. I never not get like goosebumps watching him shooting all of those guys in that building with like the remix of the Tupac song with the James Brown sample over it. It always hits. And this scene of Smoke with the big Tommy gun,
Oh,
it worked for me, buddy. I'm sorry, but I loved it.
Buddy, when he put that sniper rifle down and picked up that Tommy gun, I popped hard. I'm like, well, that's it. It's over. Like, you ain't getting up from this, man. You know? Oh, that was great. Are you kidding me? Again, much deeper. This movie's much deeper than you might think, kids, and much deeper at first glance. So when you go in to watch this film, just try to keep that in mind. And I think watching it a second time to try to pick up on some of this is really a good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm all for it. Man, Buddy Guy is almost unrecognizable at this point. I mean, I know he's really up there in age, but man, I don't know if I could have picked him out of a lineup because in my head, Buddy Guy's got the big smile. It's 20 years ago or more, and that's kind of how I remember him. But like, yeah, I don't know if I would have seen that part coming because as we record this, he is 88.
Yes. And of course, a very nice piece of trivia that adds into the story of Preacher Boy in this movie. Buddy's granddaughter is a rapper.
Ah, there you go.
So I just love that, again, this idea of like generations passing down the tradition of telling stories through music.
Yeah, it's a great point. Shauna?
Shauna.
Yeah, Roshana Guy. I don't know that I could say I know any of her stuff.
Of course, like a lot of her more popular stuff was with Ludacris. She did a few songs with him. She was on his record label.
I like Ludacris, man. I can't help it.
Love Ludacris. Ludacris is also technically from Chicago. He's an Atlanta rapper, but I believe he was born in Illinois.
Yeah, I got nothing to say about those Fast and Furious movies, but I do like Ludacris.
Yeah, love Ludacris. What a great discography.
Yeah, born in Champaign, Illinois. He's only 47. I don't know why I expected him to be older than that, but he's not. Yeah. Well, kids, there you have it. As we said before, this movie better be winning some stuff. So, Phil, as you know, release time has a lot to do with how these movies are viewed down the road. Like with this coming out, you know, in May of this year, are we talking like, because I'm not quite sure what the timeline of the Oscars is. The Oscars just happened a couple months back, didn't they?
February, I think, right?
February, there you go. Yeah, it's almost got a whole year to go. Which, you know, when a lot of these films, if they're going to get an Oscar push, the studio will decide to re-release them and try to get hype up around it. This movie it has to be nominated, doesn't it? At least for something here.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what all we're talking about, but you know, soundtrack, best actor,
definitely deserves something. Deserves some nominations.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. And you know, don't think we'll be seeing a sequel to this, but that's fine. I'm just waiting for Ryan Coogler's next project. By the way, what's your thoughts on this X-Files revival he's going to take care of?
I didn't even hear about that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't know how deep in the weeds he is with it, but last I heard, I don't know if he's yet to the casting point or not, but yeah, he's pretty passionate about it, man. It's something he definitely wants to get into. So I can't wait to see what he does with it, actually.
That sounds really cool. But man, that's something else that I really love about his career is he hasn't been put in a box. He's just been, you know, directing whatever his interests are. It's not like he's like, okay, I did Fruitvale Station, so I have to do a bunch of these kind of movies now. I have to go and do something like, you know, 12 Years a Slave or something like that. And there's not that there's anything wrong with those movies, but I do think sometimes Black creators get pigeonholed into making all of this material that's based too much on Black trauma. And I love that he's been allowed to do genre films, like whether it be like comic book films or something like this that's horror, or like being able to do something like X-Files. It just, I think there's something to be said about, you know, that. And I would love to see more Black creators get that kind of career.
That's well said. Yeah, pigeonholing a director because of skin color or something. Still something that goes, I mean, why are we still doing this? My God.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Michael B. Jordan's another one that he wears all of his influences on his sleeves as well. I remember during the press for this movie, he was upset because Studio Ghibli, they put Princess Mononoke back in theaters for a limited amount of time. And if you know anything about Michael B. Jordan, he likes anime. Big fan of anime. And he was upset that he didn't get a chance to see Princess Mononoke in theaters because he was doing the press and stuff for the movie. So of course, when a celebrity says these kind of things, they set up a screening for him so he could go and see
Sure.
it. But he's talked about wanting to direct an anime film. He's talked about wanting to do like comic book stuff again because he loves that stuff.
Mhm. He's a fanboy. I respect that.
I secretly want to see him get a crack at playing Human Torch again, just like even if it's just a cameo and as like a Human Torch from another multiverse or something.
Mm,
Because I don't think he was bad in that movie. It was a bad movie, but it wasn't his fault. It was a bad movie.
sure. Well, they've got that Avengers movie coming up. Everybody's in it.
Yeah,
I'm sure some people are in it we hadn't heard about. I would assume.
might be a little confusing for people. He shows up as Human Torch, like they'll be like, "Wait a minute, is that Killmonger?"
Right. Yes. By the way, the X-Files story. Let's see. Variety. Back in April, he was talking about doing an X-Files series reboot. He said the project is immediately next on his slate, and some of the episodes, if we do our jobs right, will be really effing scary, which is cool. And the rumors go back to 2023, which I didn't know that. And apparently, he's had conversations with Chris Carter about rebooting the show. Asked if he's touched base with Gillian Anderson, Cooler confirms the two have spoken. She's incredible and fingers crossed. He said, explain that Anderson was finishing up work on Tron Ares the last time they talked. We're going to try to make something really great, make something for the real X-Files fans, and maybe find some new ones too. Boy, that sounds good. I mean, people are going to hate it, right? Because people hate everything. But if
Yeah,
you're
of course.
going if you're going the extra mile to get the original cast involved, I mean, to me, that says a lot about I want to honor the source material, which he doesn't have to do any of that. He can do what he wants to if he's got the rights to do it. But, again, as we've seen, when you decide to leave the fans out and act as though, the fans just don't matter, well, that's not going to work. People are going to turn on that. Whether it's right or wrong, who knows? But Phil, as long as you respect the source material, like I use that Ghostbusters movie as a prime example. Let's just ignore everything that came before. Forget all that. Just do it over. Like the fans are going, yeah, but we're still here. Like we wanted a part 3. What is this crap? Well, kids, there you have it again. Sinners is in the can. Phil, before we get out of here, let's get your last word on Sinners.
Excellent movie that is well worth your time. I didn't know what to make of it going in, but I wanted to support because I liked everybody that was involved in it. And man, I think this is a masterpiece. I think this is going to be one of those movies that eventually has a cult following.
Yeah, I agree. This movie's made some serious bank, kids. And usually when the movie makes a lot of money, the studio wants a part 2. But I think just keep throwing money at Ryan Coogler, let him do his thing, because that's enough of a sequel. Just let this guy move on to the next project, because I guarantee it's gonna be epic. I'm here for it, and we'll probably review the next thing at some point. We'll tackle those Creed movies one of these days too. That'll be good. And yeah, keep your eyes open for that, kids. A lot more Ryan Coogler to come. But for now, that is Sinners. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Check out our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 6M Podcast. We'll see you next time.